Chapter 1. The Fundamentals of Business Growth. Your AMR Strategy. Strategically, the primary purpose of a business is to acquire, maximize, and retain the right customers. Everything that contributes to this is an investment. Anything which doesn't is a cost. Because Built to Grow is focused on how to deliver accelerated, sustained, and profitable growth in your business, it makes perfect sense to launch straight into the fundamentals of business growth and your AMR strategy. In this chapter, we're going to peel back the layers of the onion, get to the root of business growth, and using simple, practical ideas, give you insight into how you can deliver consistent, repeatable, predictable results in your business. The first big idea. Strategically, the primary purpose of a business is to acquire, maximize, and retain the right customers. Everything that contributes to this is an investment. Anything which doesn't is a cost. Which activities in your business are an investment and which are a cost? Without customers, businesses don't exist. That's a simple fact which no business owner can dispute. The challenge is that most business owners, business leaders, and entrepreneurs over-engineer their business growth model, making it more complex than it needs to be. They introduce layers of management that stifle and delay decision-making. They create unnecessary systems, processes, and procedures that dilute the focus of their people from doing what they do best: acquiring, maximizing, and retaining customers. Then they wonder why they're not delivering market or industry-leading performance and growth. You see, regardless of your industry, your sector, or your business type, or whether you're in a B2B or a B2C environment, there is a formula for success in delivering accelerated, sustained, and profitable business growth. However, most business leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs are either not aware of the success formula and its fundamental principles, or they're simply not following it. I'm going to walk you through the success formula and detail the precise steps to personalize and apply it to your business. Remember our first big idea. Strategically, the primary purpose of a business is to acquire, maximize, and retain the right customers. Everything that contributes to this is an investment. Anything which doesn't is a cost. Let me break this into a couple of component parts. Number 1. Strategically, the primary purpose of a business. Note the key word here is strategically. Over the years, customers and delegates have challenged me by saying, "Royston, isn't the primary purpose of business to fulfill a customer need?" My answer to this question is always, yes, you are 100% right. However, in the context of your business growth formula, this is a given. Here we are focused on your business growth, not your business essence. My focus is to help you build a business with the potential to deliver sustained growth. And therefore, it's important to deepen your understanding of the fundamental principles of business growth and the levers that you can pull in your business to achieve it. Second, acquire, maximize, and retain the right customers. This statement contains the core principles, the hub of your business growth formula. Attract, maximize, and retain are 3 key words, which together form your AMR strategy. Lock those 3 letters firmly in your mind, as they are going to be the thread that runs throughout this audiobook. Your AMR strategy. During good economic times, new business was probably easier to come by, and it didn't really matter if you lost a customer, because there was always another one waiting in the wings. However, in a competitive market where multiple providers are chasing the same customers, and those customers are more demanding than ever, a structured, systematic, and sustainable business growth strategy is more important than ever. Now you may say, but what about reducing costs? Surely that will increase my profits and therefore will help me to grow my business. Again, this is true, but what I want you to focus on is unlocking the untapped potential of unlimited growth. Reducing costs is finite. You can only ever cut back so far before arriving at a base cost to serve and deliver your customer proposition. It's never a long-term strategy for sustained growth. Buying other businesses can be another way of driving growth, but with that comes additional cost and usually a significant amount of change to manage. What I'm focused on is accelerated, sustained and profitable organic year-on-year growth underpinned by your AMR strategy and the answer to 4 big questions, all of which add breadth and depth to the business growth formula. The 4 big questions. Number 1, how do you increase the number of customers? Number 2, how do you increase the average order value? Number 3, how do you increase the average order frequency? And finally, question 4, how do you increase the retention of customers? The first question addresses the A of your AMR strategy, acquisition. Questions 2 and 3, the M, maximization. And finally, question 4, the R, retention. Now, which question do you think most businesses focus their time, effort, and resources on? It's the first, increasing the number of customers. While this is certainly key for business growth, the amount of time you should focus on new customer acquisitions isn't the same for all businesses. The maturity of your business and the size of your existing customer base, when aligned to your growth ambition, will determine how much focus you need to place on the A part of your AMR. Having worked with literally tens of thousands of businesses of all different shapes and sizes, experience tells me that most businesses spend too much time on this question altogether. Only a select few businesses have a business growth strategy that integrates all 4 questions, aligns to an overarching AMR strategy, and deep-rooted understanding of the customer lifecycle. I always remember reading this headline in a UK business newspaper. 1 million customers come back to energy provider. Now, the challenge I have with this headline is simply this. Why did they lose 1 million customers in the first place? Let me share a compelling story that may suggest they lost those customers because they were looking in all the wrong places. Perhaps the same is true for you too. There's a story called Acres of Diamonds by Russell H. Conwell, which describes a Persian man named Al-Hafed, who lived many years ago and was very contented with his life as the owner of a large farm with orchards, grain fields and gardens. One evening, however, his world is turned upside down when a Buddhist priest stops by to warm himself by the fire and begins to talk about how the world was made. He concludes his story with a description of diamonds, the rarest gems of all. The old priest tells Al-Hafed that if he had a handful of diamonds, he could purchase a whole country, and with a mine of diamonds, he could place his children upon thrones through the influence of their great wealth. That night, Al-Hafed went to bed feeling poor, despite all that he had, because he didn't have a diamond mine. Finally, early in the morning, he woke the priest and asked him, "Will you tell me where I can find diamonds?" The priest said, "Diamonds? What do you want with diamonds?" "I want to be immensely rich," said Al-Hafed, "but I don't know where to go." "Well," said the priest, "if you find a river that runs over white sand between high mountains, in those sands you will always see diamonds." So Al-Hafed sold his farm, collected his money, asked a neighbour to look after his family, and went off in search of the rivers on white sands. For years he wandered, spending every penny he had, until eventually, frail, hungry, and reduced to rags, he gave up in despair and threw himself into the sea, never to be seen again. But that's not the whole story. Shortly after he bought the farm from Al-Hafed, the new owner led his camel out to the garden to drink one day. And as the camel put its nose down into the water, he noticed a glint of something shiny. Realising that the object sparkling in the river that ran over white sands through the back garden of the farm was a diamond, the farmer began to dig for them, and so were discovered some of the greatest diamond mines in the world, making the farmer wealthy beyond his wildest dreams. Al-Hafed had never seen them, because he'd never looked in his own back garden. Had he looked more closely at what was right in front of him and not been distracted by what he thought would be better elsewhere, he wouldn't have suffered poverty and starvation, but enjoyed acres upon acres of diamonds. There is a danger for every business owner, business leader and entrepreneur of obsessing about finding new customers, all the while failing to notice the acres of diamonds, the customers we've already invested the time, the effort, and the money to acquire. Business growth is about acquiring the right customers through the front door of your business and building a compelling value proposition that fulfills their needs and wants. It's about delivering your products and services through an exceptional customer experience and maximising the value and worth of each customer. And finally, because of the great value and experience you deliver, it's about keeping the back door of your business firmly shut by giving customers good reasons to stay with you for the long term, thus delivering your retention strategy. Your business growth formula, how the numbers work. So let's look at how AMR works in practice and why AMR working in unison is how successful businesses deliver accelerated, sustained and profitable business growth. Imagine we set up a business together and in the first year we attracted 100 customers, each of whom spends £100 and buys from us twice in the year. A quick calculation shows that we'll have £20,000 per year in revenue. 100 times 100 times 2 equals 20,000. Now let's do what most companies do and only look at acquiring new customers. A sound idea, but one, as we've already demonstrated, is not a true growth strategy on its own. Back to our business example. Let's imagine in the first year we managed to achieve a 10% increase in number of customers to 110, but the other two factors remain the same. They spend £100 twice in the year. This equates to a 10% increase in revenue to 22,000. 110 times 100 times 2. Increase one of the variables and you get a linear, incremental revenue uplift. Business growth really starts to become fun when you focus on all three variables of your AMR strategy at the same time. Back to our business example. Imagine we've increased all three variables by 10%. The uplift in growth is totally different. 110 customers spending £110, averaging 2.2 orders per year. Our revenue suddenly increases to £26,620. If you focus on one variable, you get 10% growth. Work all three variables at the same time, and you get a massive 33.1% uplift. Small changes make a big difference. You see, the fundamentals of business growth are not complicated. When you have an AMR strategy underpinned by the four big questions, and you work all variables of the formula at the same time, you don't just achieve linear growth. The multiplying effect of the variables working together gives you exponential business growth, hence the 33.1% uplift through just a 10% increase in each of the three variables. The profit impact. This business growth formula is not just a model to drive top-line revenue growth. It's no good getting to the end of a financial year to discover you've made no profit. Take two of our examples. Let's work the formula to understand what impact driving the top line in the right way can have on the bottom line profitability. In our first example, where we had our business showing 20,000 turnover or revenue, and that was based on 100 customers spending £100 twice a year. Let's assume that our fixed costs are at £9,000 and our variable costs also £9,000, therefore totalling £18,000 in total costs. Profit therefore equates to £2,000. 20,000 minus 18 equals 2,000. Now think about the example where the revenue line increased to 26,620, created through increasing each of the three variables, number of customers, their average spend, and average frequency of order by just 10%. From a profit perspective, it is prudent to factor in a slight increase in our variable costs in order to manufacture or deliver the increase in products or services, as a result created by that 10% uplift. The variable cost increases from £9,000 to £11,000. However, as we're only talking about a relatively small increase of 10% across the three variable factors, let's assume there's no impact on our fixed costs, which therefore remain at £9,000. Guess what happens to our profits now? With total costs of £20,000 and revenue of £26,620, profit jumps to £6,620, a massive 231% uplift. Now that is the business growth formula in action. We still have one final big question to consider, the R, retention, in our AMR strategy. How do you increase the retention of customers? If you keep your customers for a second year, you can earn a second year's spend. Remember in our first example, 100 customers spent an average of £100 twice per year for an annualised revenue of £20,000. Just imagine if you retained all 100 customers for 5 years. That would equate to £100,000 of locked-in revenue. This is a dynamic I refer to as lifetime value, LTV, and it's the essence of our R, retention. Let's look at how lifetime value works in real life. Lifetime value, LTV. What is the lifetime value of a customer in your business? Understanding this is fundamental in creating your sustained business growth model. Let's use a real-world scenario in order to bring this to life. Your weekly grocery shop. An average family of 4 living in the UK will probably visit the supermarket at least once a week for their main family shop. And let's say on that visit they spend an average of £100 each time. During any average year, they're probably going on holiday for 2 weeks. So if we factor this into the model, we can predict they will visit their local supermarket 50 times per year. That makes the average value per year £5,000. 50 times £100 average spend. But that's not even close to being their lifetime value. If they are a regular shopper over 5 years, the LTV to that supermarket is £25,000 from all those £100 trips, 50 times per year, times £100 average spend, times the 5 years. Retaining a customer suddenly becomes a very valuable thing to do. This information becomes a fundamental piece of a very important puzzle. How much to spend on customer acquisition? If you know how much a customer is going to be worth to you over their lifetime, their LTV, you can then calculate how much you're prepared to spend to acquire them. Without this insight, you're acquiring new customers blind, particularly if you're overwhelmingly A-focused. It also enables us to gain some important perspective. If you lose a customer, you don't forfeit someone who could earn you £100 next week, but someone who could earn you £25,000 over the next 5 years. Culturally, that is a different way of thinking and certainly should propel you to focus on the importance of retaining customers. Applying this to your business. What is a customer worth to your business? Not just during year 1, but over their lifetime. What's their LTV? Be careful not just to calculate the turnover or revenue figure. Think about what they are worth in terms of profitability. After all, as we've demonstrated, that's the real measure of success of the business growth formula in action. Cost to acquire customers. It's amazing when you actually calculate the real lifetime value of a customer, how it changes your priorities. With this clear focus, you can calculate what you're prepared to spend on sales and marketing to acquire new customers in the first place. Let's look at some well-known companies to help crystallise our thinking. Gillette and other leading shaver brands charge a premium for refill razor blades. However, the first purchase you make, the razor itself, is comparatively cheap. They're prepared to sacrifice the initial profits on the first purchase, knowing they will recover them with each successive purchase. Hence, during a new campaign, a new razor will be heavily discounted by as much as 50%. Of course, all the additional back-end products, shaving foam, face wash, moisturiser, are all the add-ons focused on maximising the customer LTV. Inkjet print manufacturers adopt the same approach. You buy a printer for virtually nothing in comparison to what it can do for you. But to keep it running, you have to purchase ink refills, which has been calculated as the most expensive liquid on earth, more than premium vintage champagne. Websites that offer a premium product, such as LinkedIn Premium, will often allow users to enjoy a month or two for free in order to get you hooked. They make up the cost of those 2 free months over the next 24 months, or even over an open-ended contract with no fixed termination date. Gyms do exactly the same thing. They'll offer you the first month for free on the signing of a contract because over the LTV of that contract, they have factored this into their profit margins that they require. In the last 2 examples, there are usually cancellation clauses which enable you to stop your contract before your first payment. Of course, this is a risk providers face. However, they rely on the laws of probability in that far more people will activate their contract after the first free month than will cancel, so the majority of protected revenue isn't at risk. These acquisition strategies work because the business understands the LTV of its customer. They are therefore able to offset a high cost of acquisition. Understanding your customer cost to serve. Another consideration, once you've acquired customers, is how much does it cost to serve them? Nowadays, many businesses use multiple channels to promote and sell their products, i.e. online, face-to-face, or through a contact centre. So perhaps a more pointed question should be, what does it cost to serve your customers by channel? The competitive and challenging business landscape has definitely focused the minds of business professionals to interrogate their cost base and understand the cost profitability of customers more than ever. This topic could be the focus of a whole audiobook in itself. However, for now, we'll focus on 2 key drivers of analysing cost to serve: advancements in technology and the changing demand of the sophistication of the customer. It's no big surprise that there has been a phenomenal growth in web-based businesses such as Amazon, CompareTheMarket.com, ASOS and Play.com. This e-business model gives the consumer complete control over when and where they choose to shop. For the business, it can deliver a leading-edge cost-to-serve business model centred on automation, therefore reducing people, bricks and mortar and infrastructure costs. A traditional business model may need a rethink, particularly if there is an expensive face-to-face component. A high people headcount and a network of real estate might be critical components of the proposition, yet they drive up the cost to serve. Without an in-depth understanding of cost to serve and a conscious decision-making in relation to LTV, AMR and the 4 big questions, many business growth models are simply fundamentally flawed. The principles of business growth are certainly not complex, and you shouldn't over-engineer them. To help you on your journey of tailoring the business growth formula to your business, here are 2 case studies which apply the AMR formula and are reaping the benefits through accelerated, sustained, and profitable business growth. AMR in action. Case study 1, McDonald's. When you think of AMR in action, there's a good chance that McDonald's comes to mind because of one simple yet powerful question. Do you want fries with that? That simple question is symbolic of McDonald's mastery of customer maximization. But let's be honest, the company delivers in outstanding fashion across the entire spectrum of AMR. From a modest start at the beginning of the 1950s, McDonald's today operates more than 36,500 restaurants in 118 countries. And employs 420,000 people, who serve more than 68 million customers every single day. At the time of writing, McDonald's has also increased shareholder dividends for 25 consecutive years, making it one of the S&P 500 dividend aristocrats. Let's look at how it applies AMR and the 4 big questions to great effect. Acquisition. How does McDonald's increase the number of customers? McDonald's clearly understands the value of high-frequency locations. You're never more than a few miles from one in any major urban area. They have outlets in airports, train stations, motorway service stations, and in many instances, they build on their convenient locations by adding a drive-through component, so customers don't even have to get out of their vehicles. Once inside a McDonald's restaurant, the look and feel is consistent, so that customers know how it works and what they can order without fuss. In recent years, McDonald's has also been inventive in the way that it appeals to different demographic audiences, modifying its opening times so that the restaurants can serve early morning audiences for breakfast and late night audiences for dinner, with many outlets operating 24 hours a day. In recognition of the challenge from coffee shop competitors such as Starbucks, McDonald's has adapted its offering to include the McCafe concept, with quality coffee and coffee shop-styled food, pastries and donuts. It's also expanded its appeal to a daytime business audience by offering free Wi-Fi and through the design of the restaurant interior. McDonald's attempts to meet the needs of families, children and adults with birthday parties, Happy Meals and built-in play zones. Maximization. How does McDonald's increase the average order value? The question referenced earlier, do you want fries with that, is the most fundamental factor in how McDonald's achieves maximization. Customers are encouraged, with great success, to add products and increase the size of those products through clever product bundling, Happy Meal, Big Mac Meal, etc. When fast food businesses came under scrutiny a few years ago for the perceived unhealthy quality of their food, McDonald's responded by adding healthier options, such as salads, to its menu, maximising the options available to customers. How does McDonald's increase the average order frequency? Increasing the average order frequency leverages the strategies played out in two previous questions: how to increase the number of customers and how to increase their average order value, such as maximum convenience of location, diverse menu, product bundles, auxiliary services, Wi-Fi, birthday parties, play zones. Whilst there may be a finite number of visits any one person could make to a McDonald's in a week or a month, the key is ensuring it's your business they visit when they crave what you offer. Retention. How does McDonald's increase the retention of customers? The biggest retention strategy McDonald's has mastered is the relentless pursuit of consistency. Though there may be nuances to its menu around the world, in Japan there is a teriyaki McBurger, in Germany a Bratwurst McNurrenburger, and in Russia you can order a side of breaded shrimp instead of fries. McDonald's customers will be able to find their favourites wherever they are. Added to this, many McDonald's customers experience the brand first as a child, following a visit with family, the taste of a Happy Meal, the celebration of a children's birthday party, and have remained customers into adulthood. McDonald's sustained business growth is not an accident, but a strategy honed, polished, and designed with deliberate intent. Case Study 2. Lego. Lego is universally recognised both for its products and for its brand, and offers another masterful example of how to deliver accelerated, sustained, and profitable business growth through an effective AMR strategy. The perception of Lego in most people's minds is high quality, innovation, and lots of fun. However, it hasn't always been that way for this privately held Danish company that was founded in 1932. In 2003, Jørgen Vig Knudstorp, today the company's CEO, noted the precarious state of this company that had diversified too much. Remember Lego wristwatches? And lost its way, describing it as a burning platform, losing money with negative cash flow, and a real risk of a debt default which could lead to a breakup of the company. Fast forward to 2014, and the company posted record results of $4.5 billion in revenue, with an enviable operating margin of 33% before tax, making it the second largest toy maker in the world, second only to Mattel. So what did Lego do to turn things around? Well, among the changes were new financial and manufacturing processes, which gave it the control it had begun to lack. While it fixed its operational base, however, it turned to a deep analysis of its AMR strategy and the four big questions.